Hey guys, what's going on? This is Tripp from trippadvice.com, and today I have a very special interview, one I've been really excited to do. It's with Marni Kinrys of the Wing Girl Method from winggirlmethod.com. Marni, so awesome to have you today. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I'm good. But thanks for having
It's
me.
okay. You still look beautiful. You managed to look,
Oh,
just
thanks.
perfect. Yeah. Awesome. So cool to have you. So listen, you've been doing this for like almost 10 years. You've been coaching men.
Yeah, since I was 5. It's crazy.
Oh my God, so funny. It's like I've only been doing this for about maybe 3.5, 4 years, and you have like
Yeah.
so much more. I can only imagine because I have some crazy stories. You probably have like wild stories from all the guys you've coached and all the people you've come across. Let me ask you this: what's the oldest guy you've ever worked with?
The oldest guy I've ever worked with was, I think, 78.
Oh my God.
Why?
Okay,
What's the oldest guy you've ever worked with?
I just hit 63. I did a 61-year-old, and then I just worked with a 63-year-old, and I thought that was like out of control. So I was 78 years old.
Yeah, but you know what? I love it because it means that these guys are still working on themselves at that age. So either it's a negative thing because it never gets solved. That's what the message is, or it means that you can continuously work on yourself throughout life, and you'll still always be okay. And I love that these men still believe that there was something they could work on to improve where they were. Because I get a lot of guys, I'm sure you get a lot of guys too, who you work with and are 40s or in their 40s.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, I wish I knew you when I was 20. And like, I'm sure that 78-year-old is saying, I wish I knew you when I was 40. So there never is the right time to do work on yourself. But the right time is whenever fits for you or whenever works for you.
Right, right. And it's funny because I do hear that a lot when I'm working with guys who are like over 30, over 40, over 50. Like, oh man, I wish I was just like, wish I could have gotten this down when I was 21 years old. And I'm like, all right, so
Yeah.
you're 40 now. Guess what, bud? I've been working with guys who are 63. I'm probably, you're probably glad that you're working on this now rather than 23 years from now. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
Now's the best time. So very cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, if you want to subscribe to her channel, she's got an amazing YouTube channel giving dating advice for guys. Go ahead and check that out. I'm going to put a little subscribe button. And so, Marni, I want to ask you a few questions, some stuff that I've been thinking about, some stuff that guys really want to know about your methods and what you think about in terms of how guys can get success in the dating world. So my first question is this. I guess an overall approach to this is, what is your big idea on how a guy can be successful when they start doing this stuff? And I know it's a little broad, but there's
No, not at all.
different kinds of methods, right? Like some coaches are like, hey, go out, do a bunch of approaches, mass approach, and you'll start getting better. Other guys are like, you know what? Don't do that stuff. Work on within, work on yourself. Where do you fall in this? What is your kind of overall advice for a guy to start getting into this? Like, what's the best
Well,
approach?
in any product that I have and in any of my product that I have and all of my videos on YouTube and my podcast, the Ask Women podcast, like it's always the same. My method is that you have to turn yourself on before you can turn a woman on, right?
I love that.
So you have to work on yourself. But working on yourself doesn't mean locking yourself up in a room and reading every single book that you can get your hands on, reading every single newsletter, listening to it means taking information and working on it slowly and surely and actually putting whatever you learn to practice. So I have this one exercise that I give to people who sign up for my newsletter, and I talk to them about how overwhelming it is, all of the information out there. And when you're overwhelmed with information, especially on how to improve yourself or how to get something that you want, it always seems like a really big thing that you have to overcome or a big thing that you have to do in order to get to the place that you want to. So what I tell them to do is I tell them to focus on one thing every single day. And you could even say to yourself, I'm going to focus on approaching 10 people every single day for the next week. But you only focus on doing that so that you break things down into smaller steps. And that exercise on its own is part of inner game and part of the turning yourself on. The thing is that you really want to do everything for yourself. not for women. So if you start pulling back and breaking things down into little steps, it doesn't feel like you're doing this for the purpose of somebody else. It really feels like you're doing it for the purpose of yourself. And that's where you can start to turn yourself on, because you can be proud that every day you're doing something to get to the place that you want to.
I love that. Okay, so this is exactly what building what I would call like true confidence is. And a lot of
Yeah.
guys want to know how to build confidence, and there's so many different ways to do it. One thing I talk about is taking a lot of action, and action turns into confidence. I like this method too, because this is really about it's the mindset. You're saying like the mindset is everything should be about you and building yourself up. It should not be, how can I get that girl's number? How can I do the things
Yes.
for her? What can I do to attract her? It's more so you're starting on yourself to build that confidence and then work from
Yeah.
there. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's all about reframing the way that you view every situation. So, guys that I work with, they'll say, how do I approach a woman when she's standing with her group of friends? And I'll ask them to break down for me what they're thinking in their mind when they see a woman that they want to approach. And typically, I get the same answer from all of them. There's like different variations of the answer, but it's typically, okay, I see a hot girl. I want to approach her. I want to attract her. I want to have a great conversation. I want to get her number. Then we're going to go for a date. And I'm like, I start freaking out. My heart starts racing fast for them and for that woman, because I can feel what she's going to be feeling when she does finally get approached by this guy. And I say, whoa, like, slow your load. Like, you got to calm down. Let's drill down these intentions and put it back into your hands, so that you're saying from a strong, confident place, there's a cute girl. Let's see what she's about. I'm going to approach her. And that's it. So that even breaking that down into smaller steps, that you don't get overwhelmed with, okay, now I've approached her, but now I have to attract her, and now I have to ask for her phone number, and now I have to make her laugh, and then I have to make her like have mind-blowing orgasm. Like all of these things and pressures that you put onto yourself in that one simple approach. If you can, again, drill it down and change your intention, so the intention is always from your point of view. If let's see if she's cool. Let's see if I like her. Let's see if I'm still attracted to her once I talk to her. Great. Now I've decided that she's cool. Now I'll ask for a number because I want to take her out for sushi.
Right. So this is like versus what most guys might be asking, which are, what can I do to make her think that I'm cool? Right? Like what can I do to attract her, to make her like me?
Yeah.
And you're reversing it, saying, is this girl even cool enough to talk to me? Is this girl even interesting enough? Why am I getting scared to go talk to her when I don't even know who she is?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you've known you for 63 years or 27 years or whatever. You have a whole history on yourself. You know nothing about this girl. She could be horrible. Yes, I'm sure she has like a beautiful body and a nice smile. But if that's all that you're won over, it doesn't really say very much about you.
Right, right.
Yeah, you want like all of that plus absolutely freaking amazing.
Right, exactly, exactly. So how long do you think, if a guy were to work on this consistently, let's say he was able to really work on this several hours a week, let's say 5 to 10 hours a week, how long would it take for a guy to get good? And I'll break that down for a second. When I say good, I mean like getting a really quality girlfriend, or at least getting a few dates with a woman that the guy likes and is attracted to. How long will it take for a guy to get those results if he can really put the time in?
Yeah. Well, it depends where you're starting from and like what other issues you may have going on for yourself. Like, there's some people who I work with, I'm sure you do too, who do suffer from depression, and there's other things going on. But somebody who's starting from like a good place where they just want to make some tweaks and overcome a few things that could have possibly been a challenge for them in the past. I say that it takes 3 months to make a habit and a year to make something really concrete. So at the 3-month mark is when everything should be starting to feel really natural and easy, where you're not thinking about things anymore, where it's sort of like an automated process. And then after 1 year, you don't even acknowledge that it was ever something for you to have to work on.
Right.
It's more than automated. It's who you are. So after 3 months, you can definitely get into that place.
It's interesting actually. Most people say, or I've heard, from blogs and gurus and all that stuff, it takes 30 days to create a habit. So you think it's about 3 months, or are you just talking specifically with this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so more so with this kind of thing.
I would say you have to. Yeah, but I just in general, like 30 days is great because then you're into something, right?
Yeah.
But then after, I find 30 days is really easy. Like for me with food, for example, like I can do 30 days of eating a certain way. And then I can do 30 days of not eating a certain way very easily after that. So I say that to actually get into a routine where it becomes like it's yours and you're proud of it and you're like, okay, I've been doing it now for, 90 days. That's when things can actually start to shift for you. 30, I think people can knock out 30 days really easily and
Okay.
then go back to their old ways.
Okay.
90 days switches it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you on that because I've done a few things too where 30 days, it does feel like a long time, but you can easily kind of get right out of it. So in 3 months, I mean, that's a quarter of a year, so that's like a
Yeah,
long time.
exactly.
That's like a really, it's a big time investment that will get you results if you're really consistent with it. I totally see
Yeah.
that. So let me ask
And
you this.
it doesn't have,
Yeah.
one thing I do want to say, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be so extreme. Like anything that's super extreme, dieting, anything that you're working on, if it is too extreme and you switch yourself too quickly to go in an opposite direction, it becomes really easy to bounce back when you're done. But having it for 90 days, it does make it less of a possibility that will happen.
Right.
But anything too extreme that you get too immersed in can spell disaster for you long term.
Right. And that's why you're saying, break it down to like a few smaller things to then pinpoint and work on those over the course of a few months. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's switch topics a little bit here. I want to go into, I have, these questions are very specific for you because you're a woman who works with men, and I don't think I know anyone else who's doing exactly what you do. Like guys get to work with you and get the female perspective, which is very unique because that's you. You're the female, and they're trying to get girls like you. So let me ask you this: in terms of that, if a guy is, let's say he gets a date or he's talking to a girl, and this is a girl that he realizes, okay, it's not really a girl he wants to get into a relationship with. He just kind of wants to fool around and have some fun and just play around. But he doesn't want to hurt her, and he does want to let her know. So like we're coming through like an authentic, genuine place here where a guy wants to just hook up with a girl, but he doesn't want anything serious. Is there any way that a guy can communicate with integrity to this woman that he's only interested in that and not interested in pursuing things further? And again, this is like after they've been on like 1 or 2 dates. I'm not talking they've been like seeing each other for months and months. Is there any way a guy can do that? Is it possible?
Yeah, you can do it verbally or non-verbally. So one is with your actions and one is with your words, right? So you can reiterate to this woman several times throughout your time together that this is something casual for you, that you, not that you are seeing other women, but that you're not in a place to settle down right now. And that I just lost my train of thought there. Let me give you a story, which is better actually.
Okay.
So there's this guy who comes onto our podcast every once in a while, and he says, he hangs out with girls. He's totally casual. He's very into his work right now, but he tends to get girls who think that he wants a relationship, who end up either stalking him in some way or going too far or going further in the emotions of like being together and requesting more time from him, thinking that they're going down the path of a relationship when he's thinking all of his actions are saying to her, I want something totally casual. Like, for example, he'll have them come over at 10 o'clock at night, or he'll only see them once a week, or he won't really talk on the phone. Okay. So I was like, okay, those are all good things to communicate that say that you're not really heavily invested in the situation. But what happens when you actually do hang out with each other? And for him, I know him. I know how he is. I know that he can talk to anybody about anything for hours. I know that he works really hard to be really good in the bedroom and make sure that anybody who walks through his door has a rockin' experience. So he is constantly putting out several things that say to a woman intimacy, right? Whether or not he's communicating through his words that he doesn't want anything serious, what he's doing with these women when he does see them in that limited amount of time is extremely intimate. Because most women, when they get together with men, They can't talk for hours. They don't have a guy who's fully engaged in them, having amazing conversations, lying in bed, having endless, amazing chemistry in the bedroom. Screw that if they don't go outside. They can't go outside. They're having mind-blowing sex. Why would they ever need to go outdoors for a date? He wants to have sex with her all the time and ravish her because he really likes her. So what my point is that he's sending mixed messages to these women with his actions. He is giving them intimacy, even though he's not saying, I want to be your boyfriend. I'm hoping to fall in love with you later on down the road. But he is giving them much more than many other men do give them, which for them becomes extremely confusing. He is seeing them once a week. He is having amazing connections with them. So if there is a guy who doesn't want those things from a girl, he can't dangle the intimacy in front of her and offer that intimacy to her. He has to pull back on it, or he has to communicate to her, I don't see you that way, but I enjoy spending time with you. I think we have a great connection in the bedroom, and that's really awesome. And that's my intention here. And I would love to, keep this really casual. So there's the two ways, with your words and with your actions, that you can communicate the things you want and don't want with a woman.
Right. That's really good. It's so funny, too, because it's like this guy who we're talking about is almost too good that the women are really super falling for him, and he's not looking for that, but it's almost like he's acting like it in a way, because like what you're saying, like he's sending those mixed signals, because if a woman is getting all that intimacy, right? It's like it's beyond sex, it's the sex plus the conversation and everything. They're going to like that guy. Why would that girl want to go for any other guy? She's going to think, this is the man. This is the one I want.
Yeah. Of course. She's like, I'm having great sexual chemistry with him. And then we lie in bed talking for hours. Like, how is that not an amazing start to a relationship? In my mind, it would be. Because you go on so many dates, like women go on so many dates, men go on so many dates with people that they don't connect with. And then you have you have like connection of the mind and connection of the body. That's like your future husband. That's what she's thinking in her head. So I would say don't offer up intimacy if that's not really what's being put on the table.
Right. Okay. And let's talk about that for a second. We're talking about like connecting with people, right? Connecting with the woman. And guys out there, they want to find a quality woman, someone to connect with. What do you think are some of the best like questions that a guy can ask to find out for himself to determine if this woman is quality for him, right? Like personality-wise, like when they first meet, or maybe on their first date, second date, what can a guy do to figure out if this is a quality girl for him?
Well, that's an excellent question, Tripp. Okay, so there's this exercise that actually I did a very long time ago, and now it's an exercise that I put into all of the programs that I create. It's about finding your values. So 10 years ago, I met my husband, and in the very beginning, I was always like, oh yeah, we have the same values, but I never really knew what that actually meant. I never knew what my values were. I never understood other people's values. I just knew that we were supposed to have shared values, and we weren't fighting about certain things, so I always assumed we did have shared values. So this exercise that I did is to help you really discover what your values are, and it turns out I have over 100 different values of things that I really respect, really hold on to, and then I evaluate others from that point of view without knowing that I'm actually doing it. And so what this exercise does is gets you to rank your values. And really, the top 5 or top 10 values are the most important, I would say, when you're potentially selecting a partner or somebody to spend some time with, whatever it is. So this exercise really helps you figure out what your values are. And then once you have your values and you know your values and you own them, that also contributes to your confidence because you know yourself more, you know what you're looking for. And then from those values, you can skew your questions. So for me, one of my top values is being open, right? That is so important to me. I am not a fan of privacy. So in the past, I would get really down on people who were super private. I didn't understand it at all. And now I can respect it because I can respect that that's their value, where I don't think negatively about them now. I can actually respect them. But I also respect the fact that my value is the opposite, and I value openness and sharing. And so if I were to be sitting across the table from someone I was on a date with and ask them something, and they weren't able to be open and real and share, that would be a red flag for me. If they didn't want to, I'm not saying like ask them about those intimate details of their lives, because they shouldn't be sharing that information.
Right.
But you can scale it back so that it makes sense for whatever date you're on. If you're on your second date, you can start asking about, some things from childhood. And if they're like, well, I don't really want to talk about that, or, it's kind of private information, right there, that's probably not a good match for you.
Right.
And
Your own little personal red flag.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So it's like you're saying, like, don't judge it. Like, they're not bad for that. They share different value. We're freezing?
Yeah.
How are we now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, no. Now we're good.
Okay.
But there is like a delay. No, but yeah, overall, that's how you can evaluate the right people for you. And that's how you can put together your list of questions. So you have to figure out what your values are. If your value is, one, I really like people who are spontaneous and who are open to having fun. And if you're on a date and you're like, let's go to a movie, or let's go do this, or let's go do that, and the other person's like, and they just like say no, they won't do it. That may not be their value, but if they can't be on board for the ride of you and respect it and appreciate it, then that's not a good match for you.
Right. And the opposite, so the other way of doing it is, so that was like an action way. You can even do like verbally, right? So you can even tell a story about a time that you were spontaneous and gauge like how they react to that. If they're like, oh, I would
like,
never be able to
I would never
like
do that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if they do, you're like, oh, nice.
Yeah, but even if they said, I would never be able to do something like that, but I want to hear more, that could be an indicator that they could be somebody who's really good for you. Because
They're
you don't have to be dating. Exactly. You don't have to date somebody that's the same as you. You just have to date somebody that appreciates you for you and respects your values, not someone who also has your same values.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I like this. All right, so now we've gotten to the point where we've like connected with the girl. We found a girl that we really want, and now we're starting to get sexual with them. Okay. What are some ways to encourage a woman to really let loose in the bedroom on like a first or second date? Are there any ways to make her feel more comfortable, to be able to be more open or sexually open during that time?
Yeah, by going super slow and reading her body language and showing her that you understand what she's putting out there, even if she's not saying words. So I'll tell you another story. So I used to be a huge prude when I was younger, and I was in Australia backpacking, and I would kiss tons of guys, but I would never do anything more. Like I'd make out for hours at a bar or a club, but then I'd run away from the guy at the end of the night because I never wanted to do anything more. So there was this guy that I saw, and I was out at a bar one night, and I just thought he was so cute. Like he was, 5'6", super skinny, like not your typical attractive guy. He just looked like a leader. He was really confident. He was having fun with his friends, and I was instantly intrigued by him. So I kept standing near him for the entire night, and he would, say hi to me or whatever, but he would always get back to his friends. And at the end of the night, he came up to me and we started talking, and he said, we found out we were staying at the same hostel. We ended up walking back to our hostel together, and then he walked me up to my room and we started kissing. Okay. And so for me, kissing was always totally fine. But as soon as he reached around to undo my bra, I got really tense and really uncomfortable. And I just I'm showing you with my body language. I just instantly froze up, but I didn't want him to know that I was freezing up. But most likely I was going to make an excuse in the next couple of minutes that would have him leave the room. And as soon as he felt me tense up, he stopped everything. He looked me in the eyes and he said, just so you know, if we're doing anything that you don't want to do, just take my hands. And he actually took his hand and my hand, and he said, slap my hand and I will stop instantly. And from that point on, as soon as he said that, I got extremely comfortable. And I felt like everything was my choice. I wasn't going to be looked down upon for saying yes or for saying no. I wasn't going to feel shamed for saying yes or saying no. And I felt like he was really there in the moment for me. And he heard what I was saying, even though I wasn't saying anything. So a lot of guys, when they are with women, it's like what I was talking about before about being 2 steps ahead. They're already 2 steps ahead. They're not in the moment, so they're not paying attention to the woman. And that's when discomfort can be created between the two people. So as soon as he made that statement, it got me to totally relax. And that was my first one night stand. First of many.
No, that is great. That is great. So it's really about building. I mean, we're talking about a couple of things here, making them feel comfortable and also having that trust.
Yeah.
Building that trust. I always say this: if a girl can trust you, I mean, sky's the limit. Of course, there's a little more to it than that, but trust is like one of the bigger things, right?
Absolutely.
So I guess you're saying like take it slow, because if you take it slow and don't rush it, then you can start to have time to build that trust. Because if you just kind of rush through and you're taking off a bra, you're not reading her body language, you're just trying to stick your dick in her hole, then it's not going to work, because she's going to feel really uncomfortable. It's moving too fast, and she's going to see that you're needy and all these other things, right? And that you're not trying to build any kind of relationship and just give it to her. Everything's going to fall apart. So you want to take it step at a time, which kind of goes back to what we were saying a lot earlier, right? And it's the same concept of learning this stuff. It's like all the same ideas. Like, with that, you want to learn that stuff and take that stuff a step at a time. Like, a step at a time is really the best way to do all this stuff.
Yeah, but and honestly, like the best lovers are the one that take their time and that in like take you in. Like, that's who I enjoy being with. Sometimes, yes, you want to have like quick sex where you're totally passionate about each other. He throws you up against a wall and then you're done in like 10 minutes. That's totally fine as well. But you still want to feel wanted and connected to that person, like you're on the same page. And if you have a guy who's going super fast, who's not even acknowledging that a girl is anything but a hole, it feels yucky and disgusting, and you want to run away very fast from that feeling when you're in the bedroom. So I would say take your time, go slow, follow her body language, listen to her sounds. She'll tell you exactly what she wants and exactly what she likes.
Right. Whether she's doing it on purpose or not.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, cool. Great. Okay, I have one more question and then we'll wrap it up. These are amazing answers. Okay, I keep on going back and forth. So now, let's say we're at the point where, you've had a first date. What is the best timing, you think, in order to set up like a second, third, fourth date? So I'm not asking you how soon should you set up the second date. I'm more trying to ask you, like, what should a guy be looking for or thinking in terms of, okay, I like this girl, the first date went really well. Like, what's the timing here going from second to third to fourth date? Do I want to do them close together? Do I want to spread them really far apart? Maybe it all depends. Like, what do you think about that?
Okay, it depends how old you are, number one. Okay. And it depends how much time you have, number two. And it depends how strong your connection was on the date. Okay, so how old you are is factored in, because when you're younger and you're in your 20s, like, you have a lot of time. So, and you're doing something potentially every night. So if you space it out like a week to a week and a half, it feels like there's been a lifetime in between because you've done so many other things. So I would say like a week to a week and a half, you can start to schedule your second date. You can even say, like, after the first date, like, I want to take you out. And you can like say somewhere that you've discussed on the date, but then say, I'll hit you up next week and we'll make plans for it, so that you have like a little bit of room in between where she's questioning whether or not you're going to contact her again, but then you'll contact her. Right. But you had to play a little bit of a game. Okay. So that's like the age thing for 20-year-olds. As you get older, like, people want you to be more upfront about where you are, what you're feeling, whether or not you want to do this again. So you can say as well, like in your 30s and 40s, I'd like to do this again. I'm going to be traveling for the next 2 weeks, but when I get back, I want to take you out. I just feel like there aren't as many things that you're doing on a nightly basis when you are older, but your life, you have your life together already. You have your schedule that's a little bit harder to break out of. So you can space out those dates a little bit more, and it means a lot more to another person that you're factoring them into that already full and complete life that you've created over the past 30 or 40 years. So I would say if you're upfront about when you're going to reach out, you can, same thing, sort of space a few days after the date, like let the girl know that you've had a good time on your date, but also say, I would like to see you again. You can ask right then on the spot, what are you doing next Wednesday? And because you can also be communicating to her, I have a really busy life. I want to fit you into it, and you're special that I am fitting you into it. Or you can just say, I'll contact you next week. Just be really, really clear with what your actions are going to be and show them that you will follow up on those actions. And then what's the other thing that I said about age? What did I say?
Age, how busy you are.
How busy you are. So that's factors in too. Yeah. So if you're communicating on your dates that you're really busy, like the main thing is that at any age, no matter what you're doing, you don't want to throw out your current life or forget about your current life for this new person that has suddenly appeared into it. So you have to respect your life first and then add them into your lifestyle. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. I mean, that even, again, we're coming full circle here. That goes back to what we were talking about on the first question about building your life and building who you are and loving yourself and respecting yourself and doing that and then being able to be more of that full person and then to go out and meet the girl that you want. And then, like you said, like, okay, now my life is amazing. I love what I'm doing. I love everything about it. And you're cool. And I want to fit you into that. Right?
Exactly. Like, even the way that you said that, like, I want to hang out with you now. Like, just like that whole tone and that you're expressing that's a person of value. That's what we talk about when we talk about like wanting to be with a quality man. Like the man who has his shit together, who like is saying, I have all of these other things going on, but I would like to see you.
Right.
I am now saying that you're quality too, and I want to hang out with you. I'm not going to adjust my entire life and jump through hoops to make that happen, but I've got Wednesday and Thursday open of next week. If not, we'll do it the following week.
Right.
So it's about like it's about being assertive and confident in who you are and not thinking that you have to eliminate your life, what you're doing, your schedule, and bending over backwards to make sure that you reconnect with this woman. Because I see a lot of guys who will offer up, okay, you're not free on Wednesday. Well, what about Thursday? What about Saturday? Mm-hmm. Like they just like eliminate them, or at least the persona of them. So I would say, even if you don't have plans on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, offer up one of those nights. If she can't do it, you say, okay, I'll contact you next week and we'll try and find a better date.
Right. Oh man, that's a really tough exercise for guys to do, because you really are being strong there with, trying not to be needy, which a lot of guys are, like you were just saying, like, oh, okay, not Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when can you do it? So being able to hold back, not only is that going to be good for attracting the girl, but that's just going to really make you, I feel like, a stronger person. So you're not entering desperation mode, and you can enter more of an energy that says, you know what? It will happen. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I know that there's more girls out there, and that's how it's going to be. And I'm okay, because again, my life is the way that I want it to be.
Yeah. And the thing is that if you do approach things from that point of view, and you do meet this girl after dating tons of other women that you're like, this is like a special girl, you can put more of an effort in. But you can say to her, like, listen, I've dated a lot of girls. You're different. There's something special about you. So I'm not going to cancel my life because of you, but I want to hang out with you again. Right. So you give me a few options of when you're free, and we'll see if I can adjust things around. Like you can let them know that there's something great about them, but not that you're willing to throw out everything else just for them, but you're confident enough that you can move things around to make it happen if she lets you know that she's also feeling that same way and wants to see you too.
Right. And the best thing about it is, and what a lot of guys don't realize, is that if you guys had a real connection and she does like you, she'll wait. Right? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. She'll be like, okay, he's busy, but the next time he's free, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be excited to see this guy because it was a great date. So at the end of the day, it should work out. If she was attracted and you guys had the connection and everything went well. Right?
Yeah. And if you're constantly asking a girl to go out and she is never free, or she constantly flakes on you, what does that mean? It means she's not into you. It means you didn't build enough attraction. It means you had no connection whatsoever, and it means she's being polite by responding to you. So, you have to think about, what would it mean if I did this? if I did this, it would mean I want this person to go away and stop asking me to go out with them.
Right, because if you wanted to go out with them, what would you do? You would make time.
Right, exactly.
Right, and you'd make it happen. I love it.
Exactly.
So amazing having you. This has been an incredible little session here. I would love to do this again sometime because this was just so good. I feel like this is jam-packed with like great, useful stuff that guys can
No, I
take
would love
away.
to too.
So thank you so much, guys. Check her out. Seriously, wingirlmethod.com. I'm going to put her information in the description box below. So check out her website. And, of course, subscribe to her channel. She's got a YouTube channel that's got a ton of videos. Awesome, practical, good dating advice for you guys. I'm going to put a little subscribe button that should have been on the whole time. So check that out. Subscribe to her. Subscribe to my channel. I got more interviews just like this coming out and more stuff coming out every week. Marni, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and I'm excited for you to be on our podcast.
Yeah, check that out, guys. That's it's Ask Women podcast, right?
Ask Women podcast, yeah, and you are going to be our voice of man. So you stop it from getting too estrogen-y.
Okay, yeah.
That's your rule.
Sprinkle a little testosterone in that room. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Perfect.
you know what you're there for. Perfect. Thanks for this.
Yeah, no problem, and I'll talk to you soon.